Hi everyone. So originally did a video on depersonalization and how I've been on the journey overcoming it. And at the time of making that video, I felt like it wasn't something that played a role in my life anymore. I came a long way, but now I'm starting to realize that even though I'd come a long way at that point, I've really made some major strides since I made that video. And I would like to share the information that I've accumulated over the past year, and it may help you try to figure out what it is that's keeping you in that zone, in that state of derealization, depersonalization, and everything. So I've got some ideas, and I've been reading a lot of books, not directly to do with depersonalization, but something that has just kind of cropped up. So for example, the first book I was reading was this. I don't know if you can read that. It's Neurosis and Human Growth by Karen Horney, and this is quite an old book. And basically halfway through the book she talks about depersonalization, and I was really intrigued, and basically what she goes on to say is it's a alienation of self. So you've alienated who you are. You are alienated from who you are and yourself. So just to try and make you understand what that means is that, let's say you're a person that's very agreeable, you have a lot of family influences on what you do, you go out of your way to please other people rather than what you actually want to do yourself. You've got to the point where you don't even know what you really want, you know? A lot of what you want is actually wired in your brain to, for example, let's say somebody that seeks the validation of their parents a lot, let's say. Basically, they've wired what they're doing. Let's say they've picked a career, they've picked to be a doctor, let's say. They don't really want that, but they've picked it because it leads to the validation of parents, which is something that they want. But what they're doing day to day, a job that they hate, is going against what they really want and feel. Like, that just kind of scratches the surface of what can kind of, over time, just destroy your soul. You know, what I will say is, firstly, I recommend you read this book. It's very interesting for somebody struggling with any kind of internal struggle or depersonalization, anything like that. It's a really interesting book. The second thing that I will say is that I'm starting to think this plays a more impact than I think the next subject I'm about to talk about, and that is the subject of pornography. And I've had people commenting on my last video saying that they believe that this is what caused depersonalization for them, and what I'm starting to realise is that it most definitely can have an impact on how you feel as a person. For example, would you like the idea of people knowing what you watch? Would you like the idea of people knowing that secret about you? It's probably something that you keep away from the rest of the world. You know, you can have a man that's torn between two identities. He's a family man, he has two daughters, he's protective, everything else, and then when it comes to this hiding in a room on a computer, he's somebody else. And it kind of creates two different identities in this person, because in the world he's something completely different. Now, don't just take my word for this. I want you to go away and read these things. So another book that I've been reading and finished is The Poor Myth. Now, a quote that I found quite interesting by C.S. Lewis, which I'll read to you now, about the subject of masturbation, and this is just masturbation. Lewis offered insights about masturbation. He said that a man's sexual appetite is meant to lead him out of himself, to lead him into being a self-gift that both completes and corrects his personality. First, by sharing his whole life oneness with a lover, and second, by procreating children. With masturbation, however, the habit is turned in on itself and sends the man back into the prison of himself. there to keep a harem of imaginary brides. What is the harm of this? This is the author. Lewis says that the problem in masturbation is that man comes to prefer his fantasy world to reality. For the harem is always accessible, always subservient, calls for no sacrifices or adjustments, and can be endowed with erotic and psychological attractions which no woman can rival. Among those shadowy brides, he is always adored, always the perfect lover, no demand made on his unselfishness, no mortification ever imposed on his vanity. In the end, they become merely the medium through which he increasingly adores himself. After all, almost the main work of life is to come out of ourselves, out of the little dark prison we are all born in. Masturbation is to be avoided, as all things are to be avoided that retard this process. The danger is that of coming to love the prison. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that I agree absolutely that masturbation is damaging. What I will say is, if you are somebody that is struggling with pornography, this may hit a nail on the head for you. You know, I will say so for myself that I have been away from it completely 100% for 8 months now, and the difference in who I am is huge. The difference in how I feel about my depersonalization is I've made such humongous strides in that time. I think the reason for this is because, firstly, I have nothing to hide. I go to people, I show my face, and I am what I am. Oh, sorry, my computer screen gone off. I am what I am. I'm having nothing to hide. I have no alter ego behind closed doors. Do you know what I mean? And the other point I would like to make is that it is natural, obviously, to if you're in a situation that you hate, you fantasize, you hate your work, you fantasize about doing something about it or whatever, getting out of that line of work, let's say. But I think if you're somebody that's got a huge inner dialogue, you seem to fantasize all the time and you don't even realize you're doing it, whether that's just about anything, maybe this is something you want to look into as well. Are you someone that's reclusive? Do you not talk to many people? Do you find yourself preferring to be alone? I think this is potentially something that could be damaging for you as well. I definitely fit into that category for years. And also, not like this book says as well, is if you are living your life, for example, you go into a job because your parents give you that validation you seek. You know, you've always sought it since a child. I think things like this can damage our identity almost, if you're doing it for a long time. But those are two things that I've just really think are something to consider when wanting to overcome depersonalization. And obviously everything I said in the first video applies as well, getting away from social media as much as you can, and just living your life through your eyes, because a lot of the time we're living life through these screens. We don't know what this does to us. You know, I'm thinking about doing a video on what I believe has affected me from my years of hardcore gaming, and I don't really think we understand the damages we're doing to ourselves through this technology. I really do believe that there's something to be said there. Anyway, hope you found this video in any way interesting or useful or whatever, and if you have anything you would like to add to the conversation, add it to the comments. And you know, it's something that needs to be talked about a lot, because that's one of my biggest viewing videos is about depersonalization, because I think a lot of people are struggling with it. And I think the way our modern lives are, like, the way modern living is as it is right now, I think it's not right. I'm just talking shit now. Right, okay. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down, and I'll see you next video.